Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Arrows Up podcast. This is the first episode, the inaugural episode, and I couldn't really start it without a guest. And I have my former teammate, I should say. So this is kind of like Gronk, and I'm like Brady, and I'm taking Gronk to Tampa Bay, and I'm taking David over here to the Arrows Up podcast. David, welcome. We're going to do some Canelo because there's like some Canelo sprinkles going on in the air. I think you're going to ask me about the 49ers because, that's after our last pod, you exposed your true feelings why you follow me on Twitter.
A guilty pleasure.
And and so we'll do some Super Bowl stuff. And then ultimately we're here to talk about the great Tom Brady who kind of retired. I guess he retired, but now the rumblings is like he came on his pod and he was just like,
never seen ever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like,
so I was just like, wait, what? Like, are you retired or not? But let's start with Canelo, our guy. We last saw him become the unified champion at 168. He beat Caleb Plant. And since then, there's just been a lot of rumblings. There's been a lot of rumors. There's been rumors of Canelo fighting cruiserweight. There's been Usyk saying that he'd be down to go cruiserweight to fight Canelo. You've had conversations where Eddie Hearn has said Canelo would be willing to go all the way up, and he wouldn't be surprised if he were to one day want to fight Joshua, which I thought that was crazy. And then the usual suspects. You got Benavidez, you got Charlo. Triple G, you got Charlo, and you just there's a lot of talk around Canelo. And so one of the things that we kept hearing was that he was this week. It came out that he was either going to have a contract with PBC and Al Heyman and those folks, and have a fight with Charlo, or he was going to do a two match contract with deal. Mm-hmm. With Matchroom to fight Bevel and Triple G. So let's start with just all the speculation. Are you surprised that we are landing pretty much right where he should be at 175 and a fight with Triple G, I'm guessing, at 168? Are you surprised that he didn't pursue cruiserweight?
I mean, I was kind of like excited to see how it would have played out. Yeah. So, like just when they made the announcement, I was like, no way. Like, what is he going to eat to like get up to that weight? Like, this is crazy. And so, yeah, with them announcing, obviously, like you said, there were the rumblings of him fighting Charlo, which that also excited me because I was like, good, he's going to shut a lot of people up because there are guys that are just saying, oh, well, I think they would make a great fight and blah, blah. And so that was exciting. And then with this deal, I'm excited to see him against Bivol, but as we mentioned before the pod, the Triple G one, it's that fight could have happened like a year ago, 2 years ago. I don't know.
Right after the second one.
Yeah, and so at this point, he's always gonna get the backlash of fighting him this late, which I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, if you beat him, you fought him, you were old, and if you lose, and it's like damn, dude, so. But yeah, I want to see him at 175 to see how he looks.
Yeah.
And then I think the Triple G, I'm not gonna say it should be an easy fight, but it's like he should win that handily.
Yeah. I was not surprised. I don't think he was ever going to fight at cruiserweight, at least not yet, because it made no sense for him to do that, especially because I felt he looked good at 175. He looked strong, and and he proved that the height thing didn't really matter. So I wasn't really. I was like we talked earlier. Like I was super surprised in an earlier pod that he even talked about cruiserweight, because I just thought that was too crazy. Mm-hmm. So I'm not surprised that he went up to that he's gonna land right in the weight class he's in, because I think he's not only strong there, but I think unifying the division is great. But I think one of the things that will make him a bigger, better name in terms of legacy is defending that, and not only becoming the big dog, but staying the big dog as long as possible, which is what we've seen all of the all-time greats do. They get the belts and then they stay with the belts, and then they just fight everyone. So I like the Matchroom thing. I'm not surprised, because him and Eddie Hearn love each other. Mm-hmm. I think Eddie Hearn loves Canelo more than he loves almost anybody on the planet, and so I'm not surprised about that. Canelo did talk a lot about how great it was to work without Heyman, how easy it was to work without Heyman. And I saw a number that if the Charlo fight wouldn't get him anywhere from 70 million, the Charlo fight is going to be there after the Triple G fight.
Right.
I think the Bivol fight, it's important for Canelo, because I think what the haters are saying, though the critics say a lot about Canelo, is that he can't fight any of these Eastern European dudes, and that he doesn't want to fight any African American, which I think those two things are bogus and crazy. So I think beating Bivol would be huge. I think Triple G, I think it's the extension of the olive branch from Canelo. It's Canelo letting Triple G get one last payday, much like he did with Kovalev. You remember that Kovalev fight?
Yeah.
Everyone understood what that fight was for. Kovalev, at that size, he was still very dangerous for Canelo, because Canelo had never even tested those waters. But one of the things that was very interesting to me was how Triple G was very classy when Canelo chose Kovalev. He didn't say much. He kind of just was, he talked about how happy he was for Kovalev, because he understood the money and the live chain, just the ability for Kovalev to now retire and not have to keep fighting as much and pursue something, because that fight with Canelo was going to make him rich, very, very rich. And I think this is what this is with the Golovkin fight. I think Canelo at this stage will beat him. Golovkin last fight, he didn't look all that. He looked like an older man. And so I think that's what this is. I think this is, I'm going to take care of you. We're going to end this trilogy. Canelo's going to win. And I think we're just all going to remember Canelo winning. And, there's going to be hugs. We had wars, blah, blah, blah.
A proper send-off. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what this is. And some people may not like it, but I think this is one of my favorite things about boxing is this right here. Because sometimes you'll get these changing of the guard. I remember when Mosley and even Cotto, when those two dudes fought Canelo, after those fights, it was like a passing of the torch. It was you're going to be tested by the veterans. And Mosley and both Mosley and Cotto, after those fights, are saying, yeah, this guy's it. This guy's next. This guy has what it takes. And I think this is that, but the opposite. It's a proper send-out for Golovkin, who had a good career, coming from where he came from. And I think this is that's what we're going to get from there. And I think the Charlo, Benavidez, I don't know. Maybe you'll see another, Plant 2, I guess. And then from there, maybe you go up to cruiserweight. So it just depends, I think. But I think these two fights are important and crucial for Canelo to continue to build on the legacy. And so I like it. I think for next week we'll have more something more concrete. Yeah, where he'll decide whether he wants to do the Charlo thing, which that'll be fun too. If he decides Charlo, I'm all in. Let's beat Charlo now. and
trash talk, all that.
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly. Because I think that only makes the Matchroom contract even bigger if he beats Charlo in May. So I think whatever he decides, I'm sure he's gonna come out winning both in the ring and financially. Let's do some football. We have the Super Bowl in my backyard, in your ex backyard. Here in LA, we have the Rams who beat my beloved 49ers 2 weeks ago, and Joe Burr, how his name is now, and beating Kansas City. And so we got the Bengals, we got the Rams. How was the Rams victory in your home? I know your pops and Sammy,
they partake in the blasphemy, that is.
Yeah. So,
so my brother, he only ever really, I mean, he doesn't get loud, but he gets, he'll shout a little bit, like when the Lakers play.
Yeah.
Or he'll do like the little under his breath, like, oh yes, or he'll do like the, and it's funny with the Rams this last game, like any kind of, well, even when they play the Bucks, like he was just like, yeah, anytime OBJ caught a pass, or when Cooper Kupp caught that last pass to win, like he was getting into it. He was really animated. So yeah, and I was just kind of sitting there. I was like, oh, like this is a good game. This is, that was like a fun weekend of football. All those games a couple weeks ago, it was, like the Niners beating like the Packers and all that. Like they were just great games all around. So, I didn't have the same reactions as my brother, obviously, but yeah, he was getting into it. He was happy. My dad was happy too. He has his Aaron Donald jersey, and so they're stoked. But I kind of, I've told you the situation with them. My dad roots for like 5 teams at a time, so I mean, it just happens that one of his teams made the Super Bowl. So, and then my brother used to be a Packers fan, so I'm just do you guys really care? So, but yeah, no, they had a good time. So, and I know a lot of my my homies down in LA, they enjoyed it, and they were living it up and rubbing it in to anybody that would listen. So
yeah, it was awful. It was an awful experience. I think that watching that game was so typical of the 49ers, at least in in the last 11 years or so, where they get so close and you think they're gonna do it, they should do it, and then they just they line you up, they stand you up, and then they kick you in the nuts. That's what they do. That's what happens. And so it was such a frustrating game. I just sat there in silence as the game, when the Niners got the ball back, and it was like Jimmy has to drive them down, and I was just like, in my heart of hearts, I was like, this dude, he's not.
Yeah, he's not the guy.
He's and I think Troy Aikman was like, he did it in week 18. I was like, he's not gonna, this isn't it. And so I just sat there in silence, like I was like at a funeral, and it was just he threw the pick, although it wasn't his fault because the protection fell apart right away. The offensive line completely got beat, so he had no chance. So there was nothing he could do. And he threw the pick, and you just see all the Rams, and I just was like, man, we were right there. We were up by 10, and it's hard to not think about the interception that was dropped. Yeah, and you're just like, bro, like we're dominating this team in the first half. We're up 17-7, and they can't move the ball. And sure, Cooper Kupp's going off, but Devontae Adams had a big game against us, and but nothing happened. And you're just like, well, this is our year, and and then the wheels came off. So I'm still not okay. And so
you were cut pretty deep, man. As I mentioned before, like I sensed the pain when my brother said a good game, and I, like sincerely, when Sammy said that in that group chat, he was like, "Hey, good game, bro." Like he wasn't over here like
laughing.
He was just like, "Oh, that was a good game." So you responded the way you did. Like, good game for who? I was just kind of like, bring it down.
He sent a message. Yeah, he sent that message. Good game. Look, one thing, I am a sore loser. I'm not afraid to admit it. I'm not afraid to. I'm very upfront about that. I'm not a great loser. I'm not classy, not at all. On the bright side, I'm not like a jerk winner either. I'm not like, I'm not like rubbing it in your face. I'm happy, but I'm not like, oh, you see in your face type of guy either. So I just suck at losing. I don't take it well. So when he said that, I didn't even think he was trying to like rub it in. To me, it was just like, this wasn't enjoyable. This wasn't a good game. My team just lost. This wasn't a good game. We were up 17. We had 17 points heading it, in the third quarter. We didn't score. Deebo Samuel didn't touch the ball from the 12th minute.
That hurt. Seeing him on the sideline there, like crying with his
it to me, it was just like, this wasn't a good game. And so that's what it was. And so, I think I tweeted like, you can't judge me for what I say or do after my team loses. And you can't, you gotta extend me some grace, extend me just an olive branch. And so, yeah, that's what that was. I couldn't believe it. One thing that did make me upset, I'm in another group chat because, Howard, you remember Howard?
Yeah.
We play in the same fantasy league. And so we're in the group chat, and Ivan, Ivan sent a text and was like, oh, someone checking on German or whatever.
Oh.
And I was just like, I'm not okay. Whatever. We were just going back and forth. Yeah. And then Howard, a few years ago, my guy was like posting stuff about the 49ers. Here we go. This is our team, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada.
Oh, wait, stop. Did he jump ship? And
he's a Rams fan now. So
you see what I mean?
Yeah. So he did the whole like, yeah, we beat them, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, bro, weren't you a 49er fan? He's like, no, I root for LA. So once the Rams came, I was like, bro, get out of here, bro.
No
like
loyalty. Oh.
So, yeah. So it was just a dark day, man. It's still dark. We're going to lose Jimmy. Trey Lance is coming in, and I don't know what I'm not seeing. I don't like Trey Lance. Like, I know 49er Twitter is like, Trey Lance is our savior, and this guy's going to take us, to the Super Bowl, and we're going to win, and blah, 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 blah. And if Trey Lance would have played in that game, we would have won. And I don't like running quarterbacks. Yeah, I don't like quarterbacks that their strength is running. I just have never been about that. I prefer the slow,
the traditional pocket.
Yeah. I just think that guy wins. That's what works in the Super Bowl, and that's what you need. Because even a Patrick Mahomes, who's elusive and he can throw, he throws the ball, and so he uses legs to make time for his receivers. But I haven't drank the Trey Lance Kool-Aid yet. And so I have an entire offseason, I guess, to get on board. And obviously I will. There's going to be
you're going to have to.
Yeah. I'm a fan. So as soon as the season gets closer, I'm going to do let's go Trey Lance. It's, whatever. But yeah, it's dark, man. It's dark. Oh. And so I got a whole, week of the Rams this, the Rams that. It's very reminiscent of when Seattle beat us and they played the Broncos, and everybody was doing the Legion of Boom, and oh man, what a historic defense this is. And they beat the hell out of the Broncos. And And I was just like, we would have done the same to the Broncos. This is not a dominant defense. This is just the Broncos just suck. So I had a rough time in that Super Bowl. So I hope
we hope the Bengals win.
Yeah.
Let's just put that on the table for any listener.
I hope my guy Joey B is able to come out on top and smoke cigars and do the whole thing. Yeah. Because I can't take I can't take just a celebration for the Rams and their fans.
Oh, they'll never let they'll never let it go. Yeah.
I just can't. I just wouldn't be able to do it. So that's how I took it. That was my experience for the NFC Championship game. In the Super Bowl, who do you think? So we both want Cincy to win.
Yeah.
Who do you think is gonna win?
Having played offensive and defensive line, man, I know the wrecking power that is Aaron Donald. A guy like that, on top of Von Miller, like I remember when Von Miller was drafted many, I want to say many years ago, but years ago, and I didn't think he was. I was like, oh, he's not that big. I was like, he looks, but he was a force on that Broncos defense, and the more I watched him, I realized that it was more about his speed and the angles he takes coming off the edge, and not necessarily the brute force guy, but kind of like that IQ guy.
Yeah.
So Jalen Ramsey. So I very much get underdog vibes from the Bengals because I think most people expected Kansas City to beat them.
Yeah.
Well, with all like the soon-to-be GOAT hype surrounding Pat Mahomes.
And they were up, 21-3 or something like that in that game?
Yeah, so I still get underdog vibes from Cincy, but I hope the Bengals win, but it kind of feels like the mob is saying like they're going to win just because and also like the whole like the Super Bowl is in LA and the halftime show and and so it's just that they're annoying. All those guys are annoying, dude. All those fans, I saw a buddy of mine. I'm not gonna mention any names. Buddy of mine from high school, and he's one. I will say this: he's one of the few guys that was a diehard Rams fan before they came to LA. Mm-hmm. I know about a handful of those guys, but he was posting about the Rams, and he was like, it's that kind of blind. What's the word?
The blind loyalty.
Yeah, he's he said this, and I was just like, that's stupid. He was like, oh, I would take Matthew Stafford over Joe Burrow any day.
Oh, shut up.
He was Stafford's battle tested, and he's not saying Burrow isn't, and I'm like,
oh my God.
I'm like I turned to the mic with joking, and I was stop. And so that's the kind of thing I mean. Man. All the Rams fans are just out in droves. I'm like, is this what it's like to live in Philly or Dallas? With those fans? It's just
probably.
I can't do it. No.
What's crazy? It's like some of the take you just said. I'd rather have Matthew Stafford than Joe Burrow. It's just idiotic. Because it's not even Matthew Stafford's a good quarterback.
Yeah.
But there's no way. Joe Burrow is younger. He's already taking. Yeah, that just makes zero sense. And sometimes I feel like these, what's the Rams fans, what's some Dodger fans, what's Cowboys, Raiders, Philly, some Philly fans. It's do you have Google? Can you just Google top players in football? It's not that hard to. Yeah, that's such a bad take.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you are. I want the Bengals to win. I'm rooting for the Bengals to win. not only because of my deep hatred towards the Rams, but just, I love Joe Burrow. I love this LSU stuff. I love everything about this dude. I love it. I also watch a lot of football though, and I just think I can't be. I'd be a liar. If I shouldn't even be allowed to talk football if I were to sit here and be like, yeah, no, the Bengals are going to win for sure. I do think the Bengals
have a shot,
have a legit shot. I do think that. I do. Their defense is a defense that they stop Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs for an entire half. So that defense can produce. That defense can do stuff. But I look at that offensive line, the 49ers have one of the best offensive lines in football. And the Rams D-line in that championship game just did work against the Niner front line. So that's what makes me nervous. Cooper Kupp doesn't really make me nervous because he's so good. He's going to get his stats. To me, the key for the Rams is OBJ. If Odell has a big game, then I think the Rams are going to win because it's just Cooper Kupp is impossible to not get him. I do think I'm forgetting the Rams tight end that killed us in the game.
Higbee?
No, the backup because Higbee got hurt. I don't think Higbee's playing, but that guy, if that guy can duplicate the game, I think he adds another element. And I think the key is going to be the running game. So two things I'm looking for in this game is how big of a game does Odell have? Because if he has a big game, I think the Rams win. And on the other side, can the Bengals get a running game going? The 49ers ran like 20 times or so for 50 yards. There was no running game for the 49ers. And that was a big key as to why they lost the game. If the Bengals can dictate and set a running game, I think they are going to have a shot. Because I think Matthew Stafford is going to throw interceptions. It's just what he does. He threw 2 picks against the 49ers, but the Niners dropped 1. So it's just, and Joe Burrow doesn't get phased. He doesn't get scared. And I know Jamar Chase is the big talk, but they have plenty of weapons that he can throw to on that offense. So I'm picking the Bengals because I'm not gonna pick the Rams. But if we're watching that game and it's like 31-3 Rams, I'm not gonna be like, what? I didn't see this coming. Like, I'll be like, this is not surprising. So, it's gonna be depressing. When the Rams win, I'm just,
man, I would have been miserable if it was like, okay, so let me another little confession time right here. So I told you a few weeks ago that like I like rooting against the Niners, like mainly because of you, right? But I had like a little change of heart and like my cold dead heart, and like when the Niners lost, I you know how I say like there's like the lesser of two evils, so like not that you're evil, but when the Rams won, I was like, damn, I'd much rather put up with like an annoying German with his tweets than like the annoying Rams mob. So I was kind of there with you, hurting when the Niners lost. I was like, oh man, like this is like, and then if it would have been Chiefs against Niners or Rams, I would have been like either one of those teams. I would have been like, oh, but the Bengals going into that round, that semifinal, it's like, I was like, man, I really hope the Bengals at least make it to the Super Bowl, and if they can win, like I'll be truly happy because none of the teams that I didn't Super Bowl.
Right.
But I realized that as I was watching the game, I was like, I very much rather see Germ happy with the Niners than seeing all these annoying Rams fans happy.
Well, I appreciate that.
So I had a, that's like my little bit of like population that I have there.
If Joe Burrow wins the Super Bowl, like, he becomes a legend immediately.
Oh yeah, the Heisman, Natty, and
like,
was he the number one pick?
Yeah.
So he's wow, man.
Because the Bengals, what's the Bengals, what's the Browns? They've been, ever since I was little, they were always the teams that would suck.
Yeah.
Those were the teams that, like, the Jets, the teams that Jags. You just were like, the Jags, they suck, and they always suck. And I get all the Matthew Stafford love, and I get everybody loves Matthew Stafford. Apparently, everybody loved Matthew Stafford. Apparently, if you read Twitter, everyone always loved him. Just like, I guess, like, sure, he was fine in Detroit, but I mean, he didn't do anything. If the fact that Burrow took the Bengals to the Super Bowl, I think is impressive.
Oh yeah.
Like, what makes your friends take on Stafford crazy is Stafford never even won a playoff game with the Lions, and Joe Burrow with this team with the Bengals has won a game, and he's in this. If he wins the Super Bowl, I think he becomes the guy. I think this is the Brady conversation.
Like, move over Pat, like,
because
wow.
I think what he's done is more impressive. Joe Burrow doesn't have, all the weapons in KC. He doesn't have Andy Reid. He doesn't have doesn't have all of that. The dude is getting, he's running for his life in every snap. So I just think if he wins that Super Bowl, I think we could be looking at a guy who's gonna dominate
for years.
Yeah, and all of a sudden we're gonna think of KC in a very different, not KC, Cincy in a very different light. Because a long time ago, the Patriots, for example, used to be,
they were terrible.
Yeah, they were awful. They were what we think of, the Jags and the Browns and all those teams. But anybody who started watching football after Brady, like, if you were to tell most people that watch football now, like, hey, the Patriots used to be the laughingstock of the NFL, they'd be like, no way. Yeah. We're like, yeah, the Patriots dynasty and how we look at them is very recent.
Yeah.
And I think Joe Burrow can do that for the Bengals, which would be pretty incredible if he's able to make the Bengals a premier.
Change the public perception of an organization.
Yeah. So I'm rooting for Burrow. I want to see the cigars. I want to see the
glasses. I love the glasses.
Yeah. I want to see the whole thing. Yeah. I want to see Sean McVay walk away with a stupid look on his face, and Darnold, who does nothing in the game, and then he gets one big thing, and he's pointing to his finger, like, shut up, Aaron Donald. Like, shut up. Like, that's what I want to see. I want to see Matthew Stafford in his stupid beard walk away just with tears in his eyes, and whatever, just leave, just get out of here. So so that's where I'm at. Clearly, I'm not over the loss.
Let it out. Wow.
So let's go, Joey. Let's go, Joey B. That's what I'm hoping, because quarterbacks win these things. So I'm hoping Joe Burrow is able to have a game of his life and take the Bengals all the way. Let's talk about Brady. Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time. He's the GOAT. In football, is weird because I don't think you can say he's the greatest player, but I think in football, I like to think of it in terms of GOATs. So you got the GOAT quarterback, you got the GOAT wide receiver, the GOAT, defensive player and all that. And I think Brady is the GOAT of the GOATs in football. I think he's his resume is unmatched in just every respect, from the 7 Super Bowls to just all those things. And he announced his retirement. And, as of now, he's retired. And, he did the, never say never thing. And And now there's rumblings that, some guy in New England said that,
let's see how I feel in a year or something. It's like,
yeah. So, yeah. Some guy in New England said that, the Niners could trade Jimmy Garoppolo for the right to convince Brady to come out of retirement. I'm all in. Let's do it. Let's trade Jimmy. The Bucks are a good team, and you give Jimmy a good team, and Kyle and John Lynch get on the phone and just do the pitch. Hey, Tom, come home. Your parents used to have the season tickets. Your parents live not too far from here. We have the team to make the Super Bowl. Just right into the sunset with the red and gold and
another ring on your finger.
And just another ring on your finger.
Oh,
you get your 8th, we get our 6th. You're in 49er color forever. Let's do it. So obviously, that could all be speculation, and Tom Brady could, continue to sell clothes for all we know. But let's just hit the legacy. So how old were you when you first started watching football? So let's go there. How old were you when you started watching football?
Well, so one of the first memories I have of Tom when I actually started paying attention to football somewhat.
Yeah.
We were watching the Super Bowl. It was the Pats against the Eagles. It was at church at Ebenezer in the tent.
Yeah.
And I remember watching the game, and I remember everybody was just rooting for the Eagles.
Except for me.
Yeah, and I remember I was like,
yeah, everybody was all egoed out. Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember seeing some of my older cousins' boyfriends were watching, like Alex Garibay, guys like that. They were there watching the game, and they were just like, "Oh man, let's go Eagles." And I was like, "Eagles!" I was like, they were all just talking smack about Brady. And from that point on, that's when I really started following it. And then in 2007, I remember I would get I would see the paper, and in the sports section, it was they were writing articles about the Pats going undefeated every single week. I was just damn, there's something in the water over there, And then they go on to lose the infamous catch with the helmet.
David Tyree, yeah.
Yeah, and so and I remember going to school, and at that point I was all about Brady and the Pats, and I remember kids at school would make fun of me and or rub it in my face that the Giants won and this and that.
Yeah.
So by the time I get to high school and I'm playing and I watch the game a lot more, and as I learn more about Brady, that's when I was like, damn, this guy's actually he's obviously he's special. And then I saw the Brady 6 documentary, which blew my mind even more. I was like, hey, dude, this guy didn't even start on his freshman football team. He was just, and if you see him when he's a kid, he's this pudgy little thing. You're like, there's no way this kid can play football at all, man. And
yeah.
Even as a senior in high school, he just doesn't look the part. And you're like, there's no way that this guy's now a household name, at the pinnacle of the sport. But that's as far back as it goes. That's the first thing I can remember. That watching that Super Bowl against the Eagles in the tent at church, and everybody was rooting against them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I started watching. I'm a little bit older than you, so I started watching when I was 6. So it was the 96 season. And I fell in love with, the Niners pretty much right away. And
Steve Young.
Young was my guy. And so, I've been watching the Niners since then. And I remember Tom Brady comes in. And so I hated the Rams, pretty much from day one, because my cousin, was like, okay, like the Niners, these are the rivals. These are the teams you hate, Cowboys, Raiders, Rams were at the top of that list. And then Seattle doesn't come into much later, but that was the list. And I was like, all right. And, the Rams in 99, they have the best show on turf and all that. And so I hated it. rooted for the Titans, and they won the Super Bowl, whatever. And then the next year, so that was 2001. I started watching Brady in that once, because he would come in, so you watch the highlights, and it was, Bledsoe went out, and you're like, oh man, like I guess that there's this new kid, there's this new guy, yeah. And Bledsoe at the time was considered, a top quarterback. He was super accurate, the whole thing. And I think the Pats had just paid him, so it was just like, oh, he's just in here while Bledsoe gets healthy. And the Pats started winning, and they were winning, and they make the playoffs. You watch that infamous Tuck Rule game, and then they go into Pittsburgh, and then it was just this roller coaster of things that they were doing, and they get into the Super Bowl. And after the Raider game, I was like, this is my guy. I love this guy. This guy's amazing. And I just put all my eggs in the basket, Tom Brady. I didn't think it was going to turn into 7 Super Bowls and what it became. But I just loved Brady from there, because I just loved how he just got it done. And it was about, he just would win. And it wasn't flashy, and it wasn't these like crazy numbers. He just won. And what capped it off, he plays the Rams in his first Super Bowl. They're marching down the field, and they get the ball back like under 2 minutes. And I remember Joe Madden being like, oh, they got to play for the tie. They got to play for overtime. Just got to run the clock, play for overtime. And the Pats just went all in, and Brady was just dissecting, and he was driving and
beating him, yeah.
And just, he drives them. They get the winning field goal. They win the game. And from that day, I just was like, I love, that my team is the Niners, and my Niners sucked for a long time. So, once the Niners season was over, I was like, okay, well, I just want Brady to win. As long as Brady wins, I'm okay. So I was just rooting for Tom Brady, and they were so successful, and my Niners sucked so much that there was a lot of people who thought I liked the Patriots. There was a lot of people who was just like, hey, you're a Patriots fan. I'm like, no, I'm a 49er fan. And I had like, a bunch of 49er stuff. Yeah. And when people would see me with 49ers, they're like, wait, you like the Niners? I'm like, yeah, they suck. I'm like, yeah, I know. We suck.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're like, wait, but don't you like the Patriots? I'm like, no, I love Tom Brady. Tom Brady's my guy. But I'm a 49er fan through and through. And so we watched, so I would root for him a lot. And he retires last week, and his impact, what do you think his impact is on the NFL?
Man, he's become the standard for what it means to be the hardest worker on a team. And you'll hear, it's funny, you'll obviously there are two people. There are people that love him and people that still hate him to this day, right? And an interview comes to mind. Well, 2 interviews come to mind. The first one is with James Harrison from the Steelers. And he, later in his career, ended up signing with the Pats.
That's right.
Right. So, being a Steeler most of his career, it's like you've met Brady in the playoffs. You probably played him in the regular season. That guy is like the bane of your existence. Like you want to rip his head off. You want to tear his, you want to destroy him. Right. So they asked James about his experience. I think it's with Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless. And they're like, what was your experience? They're like, and so they were kind of asking like, yo, like, give us the dirt on Brady. Like, he's not really that nice.
Right.
Like, he can't be that nice. Yeah. And so James is like, dude, like, he was like one of the first, like, I went into it wanting to hate him. And he was one of the first guys that welcomed me into the facility. And he actually preaches, he actually practices what he preaches. He's the guy out there. Like, he wants to do all the work. Yeah. and he's just like, I can't even hate on him. Like, it's just, that's just how he is. And then recently, have you seen? Are you familiar with the I Am Athlete pod?
Yeah.
Right. So Brandon Marshall had Shady LaShawn McCoy on a couple weeks ago, and he was with the Bucks when they won the Super Bowl last year. He didn't get much playing time, but he discussed a lot of cool stuff about being on that team. How he kind of helped navigate the running back core with like Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette, and his role in kind of helping them get playing time and kind of being that veteran that can kind of show him the ropes, I guess. But he talks about his experience with Brady, and he's like, he really is like, he wants, at his old age now, he really still wants to win. And he remembers the period after the NFC Championship. I guess you get a few days off after that game, like 3 or 4. And he'll have like group chats with the offense. And those days of rest period, it's like he's already scheming on how to attack the opposing team's defense. And he'll send out reports on each player on this corner's got bad feet. This guy has trouble with this, like everything to the T. And he's like, this guy's 44 and he still just is all about the craft.
Yeah.
And he wants to win. And so that's the impact. That's what I think of. It's similar to Kobe. It's like you want to put in that work, and he helps elevate everybody's game. Even the guys on the defense, he's like, he's got the whole team believing that they can do what they want to do if they put in the work.
Yeah.
And it's rare to see that even with all these other superstars, you see all these other guys that are hot shots and super talented, but they don't really have that leadership gene in them, and Brady does. So that's, that's what I think of. That's what I think a lot of people think of. He's the, like the captain.
Yeah. Yeah. When I think of, Brady, one of the things that I remember he did an interview once, and I remember it was, a long time ago. And it was 07 actually. It was 07. It was, they're going on the perfect streak. And they're interviewing him, and he does this whole thing on practice and why he loves practice, why he goes all, hard at practice, whatever. And the interviewer asked him, but why do you want to be so perfect in practice? Why the demand for perfection? Why the demand for more or whatever? And he says, because I want to make sure that when I want to give it my all and I want to go as far as I can, so that when I walk into that huddle and I look into the eyes of, the offensive line, I tell them, hey, hold that block a little longer. Or I tell the receiver, hey, run a little faster. That they're able to look at me and know that I'm giving it my all.
You're all too. Yeah. Yeah.
And I just thought that was so incredible, because you don't really hear that from leaders, especially from in that perspective. Leadership is more of a, you do what I tell you because I know best. And Brady was not just the lead by example guy, but he was also, he would do it. He would do it and he would tell you. And so those two things were married to each other, where you'll get some guys who they lead by example, but they never say anything. So they don't hold anybody accountable. And right. So if you're lazy because the guy doesn't tell you anything. Or you get the guy who all he does is yell at you. All he does is tell you suck. But not once do you see him give extra effort, run extra sprints. None of that. And I think Brady was able to marry both. That anybody who talks about Tom Brady talks about him in such a great way, which is so hard to do. Because, I'm sure there's guys who don't like Tom Brady, but there hasn't been this like teammate is like, yeah, he sucked, dude. Like that guy was nothing. Even like somebody like Randy Moss, because you named James Harrison, who doesn't care. He wouldn't care if Brady liked him or not. And he was like, yeah, I wanted to hate him. I couldn't. And Randy Moss, who, another guy who doesn't care what anybody says, yeah, like I love Tom Brady. Tom Brady's the best. Yeah. So I just his legacy to me is the greatest leader in the history of football. Just the guy who not only was all about the game, but he was all about the team. and understood just like what it meant to win. Like Tom Brady, when, one of the lasting memories I have of him is the Patriots win the Super Bowl versus the Seahawks. Malcolm Butler's the hero. Tom Brady isn't moping. Tom Brady is like, oh man. Tom Brady's jumping around like if he
little kid on Christmas morning. Yeah.
Yes. And there's that NFL Films thing where he's hugging Malcolm Butler and he's like, man, you did it, man. It was you. You did the play. And Tom Brady was all about winning. I don't care who gets the stats. I don't care how it looks. I don't care the score. As long as we win, that's all I care about. And I just love that because there's a lot of guys who would rather
get the stats,
lose and have a good game, than have a terrible game and win. And that to me is such a great definition of a winner. And you get that with like Antonio Brown, world-class loser in Antonio Brown, because Antonio Brown wants to get all the stats and lose and walk around and say, well, yeah, we did lose, but guess how many catches I had and guess how many yards I had. Where Tom Brady, where, Rob Gronkowski and even Julian Edelman, who kind of walked around with the Brady stuff as well, lived by, it doesn't matter what we get as long as we get this victory. And that to me exemplifies who Tom Brady is. And I just thought that was such an incredible thing that he did that. One of the things watching the Brady 6, and it's just a lot of pain as a 49er fan, because you watch the Brady 6, you realize like, wait, the Niners,
they had a chance.
They had a chance.
Yeah.
Brady wanted to go there.
His family wanted to go there.
Oh my God. Anyway.
And Steve Mariucci's like, he was on the radar. They're like, oh, we know all about Tom Brady.
He was in our backyard.
In the draft, like we knew we had him, and it's like there were guys that throw it a lot better. They looked better at that time. Okay. So Mariucci in that one. Oh my gosh. Mary, like that's what we were gonna say when there's no thought. Who's that? Exactly. Yeah.
Shout out to the Bodega Boys. When Mariucci in that interview says, we didn't open up his heart. And in that documentary, he talks about that. Like, why didn't they get him? What went wrong with their evaluation? He said, we didn't open up his heart. We didn't realize how competitive he was. And I just thought that was so incredible, because football is one of those sports in general. One of the things I always look for in a guy, a young guy, is competitiveness. Because if you're competitive, you're going to put in the work. If you're competitive, you're going to get better, because that's just the drive. So whenever I hear a guy who's like, yeah, I mean, he's really good. He needs to be pushed to work hard. I'm just like, I'm kind of out. Yeah, I'm kind of out on that. And Tom Brady from the very beginning was, he had to prove it. He had to be all about it. It's why, look, I think Aaron Rodgers is amazing. I think he's the most talented guy I've ever seen throw the ball. Like, I just think he has all the intangibles. Yeah, if you're designing a Madden quarterback, the perfect Madden quarterback, I think it's Aaron Rodgers, even more than Patrick Mahomes. Aaron Rodgers just,
doesn't have the leadership gene.
Not only that, but he doesn't have the competitive gene.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the, that we're going to come out and we're going to get them back. We're down 28-3. You know what? No. Next play.
Not over.
Championship drives. Like, let's go. He doesn't have that. And as much as I like Aaron Rodgers, I'm not like one of those, haters of Aaron Rodgers. But one of my reservations of Aaron Rodgers has always been like, man, do you care? Like, I know you're really good at this, and I'm not an idiot. I'm not gonna say you suck, but do you care about this? Like, do you care about the game? Do you care about winning? Do you care if you lose? And Tom Brady cared so much that he willed himself to like more. And I just think that that's one of my favorite things about him, as well as his leadership. But just when Mariucci said that, I was like, "Ah, you guys are stupid, man! Like, come on, like, open up his heart, like, just." And I think that you saw that throughout his entire career, even when he left the Pats. He leaves the Pats, and at 43, 44 years old, he was still gunning, and he was still going, and he's still pushing. And you see all the clips from even the Super Bowl. They win the Super Bowl, and one of the guys is like recording. Everybody's like all hyped, and Tom Brady's just cleaning out his locker. Like, yep, we did it again.
Yeah, same old. Like,
and so I love the repetitiveness of not thinking you make it to the top and not thinking, okay, well, that's it. Realizing, okay, I have to go all the way down to the bottom again. I have to climb all the way up. And just that competitive drive, I think, is what set Tom Brady apart from everybody, because I think it's what kept him from improving. It kept him going. It kept him looking for answers when I think most people would have been like, dude, you won 3 Super Bowls in your first 11 years. You did it, bro. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, there has to be more.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's amazing. I think that's incredible.
So one of the things that you said that that reminded me of something is when you said, I'm sure there are guys that don't like Tom, that have played with him and that are like, oh, he's he's this or he's that. And right. So on one of those I Am Athlete pods, they recently had Arian Foster. If you remember him from Texans.
Yeah,
right?
I do. Yeah,
Arian Foster. They had some rappers on, Kendrick Perkins, and then DJ Williams, the linebacker, right? Mm-hmm. So they had those guys on, and they were talking about Brady retiring and like his GOAT status, and they actually got into the weeds of like, is he the greatest football player? Like, because like you said earlier, like it's kind of hard to put up a running back against the quarterback,
right? Right.
But some of those guys were like, some of them were like, dude, 7 championships. Like, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it, like best football player, man. And Arian's take I thought was interesting because he's like, if I'm going off of just ability, he's like, I would see someone like Barry Sanders as like the greatest football player just because of like how he physically was able to move and play the game. Which I'm like, I don't think I'd choose Barry, but he's definitely like GOAT talent. Yeah. It sucks that he was with the Lions his whole career. And that's a conversation for another day. I look at guys like Deion Sanders and Bo Jackson, and I'm like, those guys are like once in a lifetime athletes because of them being able to handle 2 pro sports and the skill set that goes into both. But anyway, so DJ Williams was talking about all the guys that love Tom, right? They've all come out like James Harrison, like a Shady. Yeah. And you also hear guys talk about the Patriot way. Mm-hmm. And when Brady was with the Pats, it was like, it's the Patriot way, it's the Tom way, it's the Bill way, but it's the Patriot way because they're all there together. Yeah. And it wasn't for everybody. We saw guys come to that team that it didn't fit for them. I remember they had like Chad Johnson, Pats for a year, I think. Yeah. And I remember watching him play, and like I'd heard of Chad, obviously his Ocho Cinco thing. So I was like, oh, he's a good player. Like he really, he can really play. But he just didn't fit in that system. And Chad will talk about it like on other podcasts, and he's like, it works for them. And he's like, it wasn't for me, but it's like, it's a good system. Like it's, they know what they're doing. It just didn't work out for us between me and the Pats. And I remember once a long time ago, I read an article about some expatriate players that didn't like how the Patriots ran things, right? Yeah. And so Chad would describe it as almost like militant in the sense that like Bill's just running the show and Brady's like his right-hand guy, and it's just like, we're going to do it this way, and we're all going to put in the work. There's no time for like funny business and like showing off and this and that. Like, it's just the way we're going to do it. That's the way they do it no matter who you are. They'll get rid of anybody. You know, Jamie Collins went to bed like 8-0 with the Pats and woke up like 0-0 with the Browns. It doesn't matter who you are with the Pats.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
They got rid of like Logan Mankins, all these great players, all these linemen, and like Stephon Gilmore. And I'm just like, damn. But even if I've questioned a Patriots decision, I've always gone back and been like, you know what? Like, that ended up working out for them. They know they must know what they're doing. But anyway, that's the Patriot way. It is what it is. And DJ was talking about, he's like, I don't know a single person that dislikes Tom. And Arian speaks up and he says, I know a couple guys that don't like Tom. And I would ask them, I'm like, have they played with Tom? And if so, for some reason, I can't help but think that if some of these guys that didn't have a good experience in New England, I'm almost going to go as far as to say, like, maybe you're just not a winner, bro. Like, maybe that system isn't for you, and they're all winners over there. So if you don't like what they're doing, then it's like, you know, you hear so many dysfunctional organizations in the league that just kind of, you know, do their thing and whatnot. And I'm like, if being like prepared and doing your job is something you don't like in the league, then it's like, and obviously Arian didn't want to mention guys by name, but I'm like, yeah, I'm sure if you mention them, I wouldn't even know who they are because they're probably not winners, man. Like, it's just, you know, anybody that goes to New England and plays there and wins, like, they have nothing bad to say. And if you have something bad to say, then it's like, tell me where else you went and where else they had success. Yeah. But I'm just like, like, where are all these guys that dislike Tom? All these pro guys that dislike Tom? I'd like to hear what they have to say, and if it's even credible, you know?
Yeah. One of his Darrelle Revis was one of the guys who said he didn't say he didn't like Tom Brady, but he did say he didn't like the Patriot way.
Right. Yeah.
He said he didn't. It wasn't fun, and what was weird about that, I was like, bro, so do you not like winning?
Yeah. You see what I'm saying?
Like, do you like? I get it. Like, you know. I'm sure there's, you know, you can win and have fun. Like, you know, yes, for sure. But I don't know, like, you're winning. So, yeah, like maybe Bill Belichick is not Sean McVay, and maybe he, you know, the practices are super strict. Like
Pete Carroll, yeah.
Yeah, like, and maybe like, yeah, it's super business and super like military, like whatever. But you're more often than not in the Super Bowl. I don't know. I feel like that's a good trade-off. Like, so my, you know, the coach is a jerk, but I'm constantly in the Super Bowl. I don't know. I take that. And so I think that, you know, the Patriot way or whatever, I think it's one of those things that winning, one of the things I've realized as a sports fan is not athletes don't think of it the way we think of it. Mm-hmm. At least not all athletes. And to some athletes, winning isn't everything because to them, winning is them making money.
Right.
Which, you know, it's fine. To each its own. You know, somebody's going to make you a millionaire for playing the sport. You know, that's awesome. You know, hopefully I have kids and they're able to do that.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's no hatred on that, but I do think it's one of those things that a lot of these athletes aren't about the winning, aren't about winning championships. And so to them, it's, I just, you know, I'm already a millionaire. I don't want it to be an unpleasant experience. And you see that throughout. You see that with, you know, with the Jordan stuff. Michael Jordan was not a easy person to be around.
Yeah.
But guess what? If you were Jordan's teammate, more chances are that you are considered a champion. If you were on Michael Jordan's teams in the 90s, when you're on a radio show, they're saying, oh, you know, we got, you know, Chicago champion Bob Jones,
Joe Schmo,
whoever. Yeah. And Tom Brady is the same thing with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. That you may not like it and you maybe didn't have fun, but guess what's in your resume? Super Bowl champion. And I think it's one of those things that I've learned that some of these athletes, it ain't it. winning isn't everything. It isn't the only thing. And to the
sure.
players that are driven to win, then they become unpopular because like, oh man, this guy's a jerk, or this guy cares too much, or this guy does that or the other. You see it in soccer with like Cristiano Ronaldo, where he plays on the younger team and he's all about winning. He wants to win. He's upset if they tie. He's upset if he misses a goal. And so we're like, oh man, this guy, like, he's too intense. It's like, no, he just cares. He just wants to win. And if you don't want to win, you're going to look at that as crazy. And Tom Brady, the people who don't like Tom Brady are that. Because, like, for example, one of the guys we know, Renee, hated Tom Brady when he was with the Pats. Hated him. And we would have constant...
He's a Raider fan, right?
Yeah,
so it's
we would have constant arguments about, like, Tom Brady, and he would call him assistant quarterback, and his guy was Peyton Manning, and I went for war for Brady. And when he went to the Bucks and he won with the Bucks, Renee was like, nah, this guy's the real deal, man. This guy's legit. And I just think it becomes... With Brady going to Tampa Bay proved it's about winning. That's all it is about. It's not about Pro Bowls. It isn't about, contracts or any of that. And you can have fun and you can do whatever, but we're going to win here. This is about winning. And that ultimately, I think that's Brady's legacy. He's a winner. And if you don't like it, that's cool. Winning isn't for everybody, but if you don't like it, don't knock it. Don't hate it because you're a loser. Don't do that. Don't do that either. And so, that's what I think. I think I don't think we're ever going to see it. I don't think we're ever going to see another Brady in terms of success. I think the fact that he made it to 10 and won 7, right? He made it to 10, won 7. I think that's ridiculous. I think that it's unfair to what we've done with these younger guys like Mahomes and even Joe Burrow. Like, if he were to win, I think it's really difficult to expect somebody to make it to that many Super Bowls and to win as many as he won. I think that he has, I was reading this stat, he has like 35 wins in the playoffs, which is like double everybody.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
And if you count like the first round buys as wins, because I think you should, he is up to like 40 something, like almost 50. And like everybody else has like under like 15 or 20.
Yeah.
And it's just like what he did is so unassailable, so unreachable. Like, he is doing what we do on Madden franchise mode, winning year after year. That was Brady in real life, that you could just pencil him in. Think of it. The dude played 20 something years. And if you were to, for 20 years, say, hey, I think the Pats are going to the Super Bowl. If for every year for 20 years, you were to say, okay, my Super Bowl pick is Patriots versus whatever NFC team, you would have been right 10 times. That's crazy.
Yeah. That's
crazy. So I don't know. I don't think we're ever going to see that, because that's dominance unmatched.
Man. So let me ask, would Renee, back to the Renee thing.
Yeah.
When did the argument stop when he won with the Bucks? Like, did he like tooth the nail even after like 28-3, all that stuff? He still kept fighting. Like,
yeah, I mean, he didn't fight as much after 28-3, but to Renee and people like Renee, the argument was it's Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick is the mastermind.
See, I had an argument against the Bill thing even before Brady left the Pats, because it's like, if you look at Bill's record pre-Brady, he has like 2 winning seasons under his belt. Like, one of them was like with the Browns.
Yeah.
And, like, one with Drew. But I'm just like,
but
this coach was all that. Like,
but the argument there that people use is Matt Castle's the 2008 season.
Right.
And it's like, do you realize the Pats didn't even make the playoffs that year? Yeah, they went 11-5, but they didn't make the playoffs.
Then when they had like Jimmy G and Jacoby Brissett for like 4 weeks, they're like, oh, they can do without Brady, and it's like,
no.
sorry, but where are those guys now? Like, so, oh man, I remember when I used to argue with guys about like Peyton Manning versus Brady, and I remember the Broncos Super Bowl win against the Panthers, and I remember thinking like, I'm pretty sure Peyton Manning's somewhere on the field, but he hasn't shown up.
That was Von Miller's Super Bowl.
Yeah, he's kind of hanging out. Like, so, diet.
Yeah,
and so those arguments there, they stopped coming after a while. Like what's his name, Mike Evans. Like I remember they like the NFL Top 100 list.
Yeah,
and the players present each other. And Mike Evans was like, "Yeah, I'm a Peyton Manning guy, but Brady's pretty good." And then years later, Brady joins his team and gets him a Super Bowl, and it's like eventually Mike Evans is like, "I'm a Brady guy now, like by default." It's like, yeah, you're damn right, you're a Brady guy.
Oh
like,
man.
So.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, but I think that all that is Brady's legacy. The winning, the guys, doubting to everyone believing. And I think that's the proper place. I think the proper place for this guy that was drafted 199 and was 6th round pick. He walks up to, Robert Kraft, says, "Hey, I'm the best decision you ever made." That guy who was hated for a long time or criticized because he was with the Pats and, they're lucky. They only win by 3 in the Super Bowl. Blah, 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 blah.
If Rodgers was with the Pats, he would have 10 Super Bowls.
Yeah, please. So I think that's his legacy. The best winner, the best leader, and the guy who kept pushing and cemented his legacy long before Tampa Bay, but I think Tampa Bay just kind of was the last cherry on top to be like, okay, you think it's Bill Belichick? You think it's this guy? At 43 years old, I'm going to go win the Super Bowl, and I'm going to, beat the Saints. I'm going to beat your boy Rodgers in Lambeau, and I'm going to beat everybody's mini goal, Pat Mahomes, in the Super Bowl. So I just think that was so incredible. And Tom, I know you're going to listen to this. Do it one more time in San Francisco. Let's go. Let's go.
Let me say this again. This is just like a little blurb in the grand things that is Tom Brady.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, like you said, people would say, "Oh, like it's Belichick and this and that."
Mm-hmm.
What made it even just a little bit sweeter is that when they were winning with the Bucks, Bruce Arians would come out and say, "Yeah, I'm not even really coaching. I just kind of sit back and let."
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And I'm like, really? Like, do y'all see it now? Like, and just, man, think of all the no-name guys who became like superstars, like Chris Hogan. Remember when Chris Hogan lit up
Chris Hogan,
and I'm like, who is this guy? Like, oh yeah, he's some lacrosse player. Like, I think they picked him up off the street, and I'm just like, what? Or like Julian Edelman.
Yeah.
Wes Welker. Those guys are like as tall as me, bro. They're 5'10". Like, so it's just like, man, it's great stuff, man. What he was able to do and elevate players, and I'm gonna miss you, Tom.
Yeah, we're gonna miss you, Tom.
Assuming you don't go to the Niners
come to the 49ers, Tom. Please make me a happy
the happiest man on earth.
Yeah, please. But I think that's it. I think that's the proper send off for Tom Brady, if it is that he retires. In terms of legacy and all that. Anything else that you want to add? Any final thoughts on anything?
Well, a question for you.
Yeah.
When he posted what he posted about saying goodbye, he mentioned like a lot.
Yeah.
Which I was like, damn, like nothing for the Patriots. And then he did, like when the Patriots tweeted at him and stuff.
Yeah.
Do you think so there's a guy at my church, he's an elder, and he grew up, I think, in Boston. He's a big, like, he's like a legit Brady Pats fan.
Yeah.
He was very hurt when he left New England. So he's like, once he announced retirement, he was on Facebook and he was like, Tom, like, let's hope you come back to New England and like sign one of those like retired
one-day contract. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, and I honestly, I don't know if Tom will do it. I don't know if they're like, if that bridge is like there yet. I don't know. It'd be nice to see. So, do you think they can work that out soon? Does Tom even want to? You think? Like, it just kind of feels like.
So when I first saw it, I thought like, dang, like that is weird that there's no mention of the Crafts, there's no mention of Belichick. There's not even like a mention to the Pats fans. And so it was weird because it was like this like love fest for the Bucks, the owners,
like Bucks this,
the coaches,
Bucks that, Bucks
the fans. Yeah. And I was like, Tom, like you've known these dudes for like 2 weeks. Like what are you talking? Like what?
Yeah.
And as time has gone by, what makes me think that this retirement is not final is that I think that letter is starting to become more and more of a my time with the Bucks is done. Thank you, Tampa Bay. Obviously, I don't know. Obviously, he could stay retired.
But that's what you're picking up from what he put down. Yeah.
Because he did the same when he left the Pats. He did a whole big thank you, Belichick, the Crabs, the fans. He did the same thing. And so as time has gone by, I just think like, wait, is he retired or is he like just like, okay, I'm done with the Bucks? Yeah. And he told the Bucks, hey, like we're good. Like, it's time for me to move on. And it's Tom Brady, so of course you're, it's what are you gonna be like? Oh no, you can't leave. I think he's gonna come back. I don't know if it's the Niners, but I think he's going to play again. I think he's going to play one more year.
Wow.
I think he's going to play one more year because I think eventually Tom Brady, even if things are weird with the Pats, Tom Brady is a smart guy.
Yeah.
So even the optics of it, like Tom Brady eventually will sign the one-day contract with the Bucks, retire with the Pats, retire a Patriot forever, and whatever. But I do think just reading the tea leaves and just picking up on different things that just are off. I do think he comes back. Because when somebody retires, they do a press conference. He hasn't had a press conference.
Yeah.
There's no press conference. There's no like, all right, this is my retirement from football. That was just a post. So my inclination is he comes back for a team that he feels is championship ready. Because I think at this point, that's all he's doing. And I think he's going to look and he's going to see and he's going to say, okay, where can I go win right now? And this is where I think, teams like the 49ers enter because they're built to win right now. I think if the Raiders are able to do something, they're able to win right now. I don't think he would go to Pittsburgh, but Pittsburgh has a team that's ready to win right now. And there's like a select few teams that, like Tom Brady and with the 49ers, for example. This year, the Niners win the Super Bowl. Because you put Tom Brady and you swap out. Yeah, you just swap out Jimmy for Tom in these playoffs. We're talking Tom Brady versus Joe Burrow right now. So my inclination is that he's going to play one more year. That's my inclination. Hopefully I'm right. And hopefully it's in San Francisco. I'll do every pod with a Tom Brady jersey.
You got to talk some sense into Sammy, man. We were sitting there watching the Bucks Rams game.
Yeah.
And if you didn't know Brady's stats this year and what he did at 44, the way Sammy was talking, you would have thought like, oh, Brady should retire because he actually fell off the cliff.
He threw like for 5,000 yards.
I know. So I'm looking at the numbers and I'm like, dude, what do you mean he's still going strong? Like, it's not like he's 44 and he's
Yeah.
And you try to mention the Kobe thing, because Kobe at the end of his career the injuries were taking their toll, and he kind of was like a middle of the pack guy. But that's kind of all you could. But I'm like, no, look at his numbers. I'm like, he's out playing these young whippersnappers. What do you mean? He's gonna retire when he actually doesn't want to play anymore. No,
but he's a finalist for the MVP.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I don't think he'll retire because he's like, I don't think he'll ever suck unless he reaches like 50 years old. Like he's proven that his body can play at a certain level with what he was given.
Yeah.
And he's going to play when he just doesn't have that competitive drive to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of what we're seeing now with him saying, when he said like, I'm not going to make that commitment. I'm like, oh, it sounds like he's just tired of all the work having to put it. It's taken a toll on him and his relationship with his family and whatnot. And it's like, it just kind of sounds like he doesn't want to play anymore. I'm sure obviously he still can, you know?
Yeah, but I think it's
Sammy was making it seem like he was like throwing picks left and right. I'm like, dude, this guy's better than your quarterback on the Rams. Like, what are you talking about? Like, this is no comparison at all. Like, so I worry for Sammy sometimes with like the football stuff. I'm like, dude, stop. Like, just, you know, stick to the Lakers. You know? So.
Yeah, I think last thing from me, but I think if you're a team like the Niners, a team like the Raiders, a team who, you know, you feel like you're close to it, you have to do your due diligence, at least make a call. Like you have to be like, I just think if there's a possibility for you to get a Tom Brady, just check in. Hey,
yeah, I can't hurt to pick up the phone, be like, hey, Tom.
Yeah, it's not even hey, like, it's just like, hey, how are you feeling? Like, you're done, or like, should we call you back in April? Like, what do you think? What do you think, Tom? Should we like reserve number 12? You know what? We won't give number 12 to
we'll talk to number 12. We'll talk to, you know, whoever it is.
We'll call you back in April.
Can we call you Tommy? Can we refer to you as Tommy? Like,
we'll call you back in April, May. Like, just take your time. Don't worry about it. You have to kick the tires to see what's going on over there.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's settled that he's done. I think it's, you know, you read that and I think it's like, you know, I just don't want to prepare. And, you know, maybe he just need a vacation and maybe he needs to go away for a few weeks, comes back and says, you know what, one more year, let's go.
Gronk did that, man. I was really sad the first time Gronk retired. And I was like, damn. And then out of nowhere, he comes back and he's like, yeah, I just needed a break. My body just couldn't take the toll. So I just took a break. And did you see the video that Gronk posted?
Mm-hmm.
Like with the Queen song, like,
yeah.
I was like, damn, dude, like, what's up with these onions? Like, watching them run around, frolicking like kids, like on the grass.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, like this hurt. Like,
yeah, that was amazing. That was a tearjerker for sure. But yeah, so that's the pod. So Canelo, 49ers, tears, Super Bowl preview. So we both are leaning. Our hearts are saying Joe B. Our brains are saying Rams. Hopefully our hearts can prevail and we'll have a happy one and obviously Tom Brady forever.
Tom Brady forever.
And then we'll do a fight combat sports next week. UFC judging Ngannou, Canelo,
upcoming fights,
Ryan Garcia,
contracts.
Yeah. So we'll do the whole thing next week. So David, thanks for joining me. I'll see you.
Always a pleasure, Jim.
See you next time. Farewell's up. Tom Brady forever. Thank you for listening. Until next time.